learning event today, and we clearly don't need to make any introduction to Ferdie Bester. He seems to know more people on the group than I do. Ferdie, it's great to have you and Nightjar present to us. For those of you who don't know, Ferdie is a former EO member, founder of Nightjar.
Yeah, thanks, Jos.
Happy of the team, and thanks so much for joining us, Ferdie. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. So, as Jos said, my name is Ferdie Bester. I am an ex-EO member, and hopefully will join EO again in a year or two. This session is about how to get more leads. That is the core of this, how to get more leads and how to get more sales. And I think everybody needs those two things in these times. What I do want to ask you is we're going to have two sections where we stop to take questions, but please interrupt me at any stage to ask a question. I want this session to be valuable for you. The other thing is, if you do need to go, or at the end of the session you want to continue the conversation, I've provided a link in the chat group where you can just book 30 minutes with me, complimentary 30-minute session to just talk through some of the stuff and make sure that the session was valuable for you. Okay. The first part is going to be like fundamental strategic stuff, and then later on I'm going to have a few advanced tips. So the skill level of the session goes from fundamental stuff to quite advanced at the end. We will also share the deck, and the session is also recorded. Okay. Is there any questions now? Okay, let me just start. Okay. So just a quick background on me. I just want to get rid of this thing. There we go. So just a quick background on me. I was the founder of a performance media agency called ClickMaven. So we did work for Sun and Investec and Cura Schools and ran hundreds of campaigns. I then sold that business to a UK-based agency called Jellyfish, where we resold Google's enterprise level softwares. We worked with Discovery, Investec, and F&B, and now I've launched a new company called Nightjar, and we do data and marketing technology. So just some background on me. So the agenda today is we're going to cover is to make it easy for people to buy from you. So specifically your website. Then we're going to talk about digital media and the role of each platform. So we're going to talk about where Google Ads fits into this thing, where Facebook fits into this, where Instagram fits into this, then something on measurement. And then the fourth thing is I'm supplying 4 advanced tips at the end. Okay. So the first section I just want to talk about is to make it easy. Make it easy for people to buy from you. And it is amazing to think of how many websites are out there that's actually very difficult to use. So the model that I like using after all the years of running campaigns is it's an inverse funnel. And the reason why I like this inverse funnel is it shows the effort it takes to get somebody to buy. So at the top you've got a macro yes, which is basically a sale. So this is when somebody buys from you and gives you money. And what happens is, to get to the sale, there's these micro steps that people have to take to complete and to buy from you. So like a micro step is like a little piece of permission that somebody gives you. Now to illustrate this practically, so for example B2B in the business to business space, is this could be the first piece of permission that somebody gives you is they are willing to click and engage with one of your pieces of content on ad. So they're saying, I'm willing to give you 3 seconds of my time to have a look at what you do. So that's the first piece that's the first like yes that people give. Then the next step is uh, is they would possibly read an article on your site. So to go from 3 seconds on your site to 3 minutes on your site, and maybe watch a video. So once they like that, they may then go and subscribe to a webinar. But people don't usually go from, they don't know you and then they buy. That doesn't happen. There's usually these small little commitments that people take before they complete the sale. So for example, on the B2C section, so this is more Joss's business, this would be people browse your website, then they look at specific products. So for example, Joss instance, they'll look at the rooms, then they may sign up for a newsletter. Only then will they add to cart, and then will they complete the sale. Sometimes this happens in the same session, but usually people build up confidence and trust in your brand before they make a purchase. So this is what I've seen. So I just wanted to talk about the steps to get a commitment. This is very interesting. I found a formula to illustrate what happens in a consumer's head to move between these specific phases. So, and I got this from a company called MEC Labs. So if you're ever interested in this, I'll post a link at the end. So to get somebody to make a commitment, so this is this micro yes. So like there's 4 factors basically. So this is a heuristic. So it's a formula. It's partly based on science, but it's not. It's heuristic. It's just like a model of representation of what people go through before they make a small commitment. So, and in this instance, it's so the formula says 4M plus 3V minus F minus 2A. And the first part, so I'm going to break this down a little bit, is the first part is to get the commitment. The person needs to be motivated to engage with you. So I'll give you 2 examples. So let's talk about motivation. So if, for example, you have something that absolutely nobody wants, nobody is going to engage with you. So for example, I saw this online. I'm a big fan of barbecuing, but I really don't need a specialist steak grill that looks like something that is sold by Verumark. So like, I'm just not motivated, and it does not matter how good the website is, or how compelling, or how easy is. I'm just not interested in this product. But everybody is going to experience load shedding in the next 12 months, and this is a mobile power box that you can plug your laptop in and work from anywhere when you have load shedding. Everybody wants this. Everybody needs this. So that is the first. That's the first aspect of getting this little commitment. The second one is the clarity of your value proposition. So what I'll give you an example of that. So company's intellectual property commission, this is where you register your legal entity. If you go into their website, it looks like this. It is absolute nightmare. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to go. You don't know what to click. And so what happens is people just don't do anything on the site, because there's people want to register a legal entity, but they just can't. They just don't know how to do this. Compared with, there's a new company launched, GovChain. They've been around for a few months, and they just take care of this. It's like it takes 5 minutes. You know exactly where to start. It goes, register your company now. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. Click to get started. One little click. Okay. Next part is friction. So friction is, how difficult is it to actually complete the transaction online or make that little commitment? So 2 examples. Again, UIF, like this website is an absolute nightmare to use. So like, I have no idea where even to start here. Compare that, and this is the form that needs to be filled out. So this is friction. This is like, it's that moment when a website asks you for your ID number. Like, why do you need my ID number to go away for the weekend? You don't need that. And this is an example of easy friction. So for example, if you go into your site, you enter the ID number. Yes, they go, oh my, it's an ID number, but I don't have to give anything else. And it also says what they're going to do with the ID and why they need it. So that is friction. So the less friction, the easier it is for somebody to give that commitment. And then the last one is anxiety. So this is an example of somebody asking for some details to send email them videos, and they ask for an email address, and I'm like, I'm willing to give you that, but why are you asking me for my mobile number if you want me to send videos? What are you going to do with my mobile number? So here's another example. Somebody's outsurance does ask you for your ID number, but then it explains why and what is it going to do for it. We need your ID number to determine if you're already a client of ours. Keep it safe and won't share it with anybody. That alleviates anxiety. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I've spoken a while, and I just want to see if there's any questions. Any questions? Calvin, you must have a question.
I don't have a question. I just really love that heuristic, and I'm busy writing it on my whiteboard here. So thanks for that.
Okay, I stole it, like I plagiarized it.
I'm stealing it now again. So.
Yeah, so like, but it helps. It helps to sort of just, because sometimes, marketing is seen as like magic, but it's not magic. There's certain models, there's certain things that work, there's certain things that don't work. So,
thanks.
Ferdie, what is the numbers in the heuristic for? Why is it 4M and then?
Good question. So the 4M means that the M has to be multiplied by 4. So the 4 just means that, like in a math equation, M is the variable. So like, what is the motivation? And then the 4 gives it a really high score. So for example,
so it's the most important part of the formula is motivation, and then.
Correct. Yeah. But it also shows the value of like your product. Like if your product is poor and the market doesn't want it, it doesn't matter how great your website is, people are just not motivated to buy it. It's as simple as that. And the flip side is true. If everybody wants your load shedding solution and your website is a dog show, people will still buy it because the motivation to get it is so high. But if you can get all those elements in play, like that is where you want to be.
Thanks.
Okay. Hi, Jonathan. See you here. Anybody else? No. Okay, cool. Let's continue. Okay. So that's making it easy for people to buy. The second part I want to talk about is digital media and the role each platform plays. So to go back to this model, let's talk about B2B. Let me give you an example. So these were the steps. So people click, then they look at a resource or video, webinar, demo, consultation, and sale. So each one of the marketing channels has got its own place to play in this, in getting people to engage with your site. So for example, and I'll go into some actual examples now, is when you place banners on websites, the reason for placing a banner on the website is to get and engage a new audience. What you will not get is somebody clicking on that banner and buying. That doesn't happen. Like, the job of this specific ad on a website is to just introduce your company to the person. That is the reason for that ad. The same with LinkedIn, for example. We've seen multiple times that LinkedIn is excellent if to introduce a company, but people don't buy once they've clicked on a LinkedIn. The objective of this ad is to just get the engagement. I'll give you another example. If, for example, in JP's business, it's some let's say somebody was, there was some kind of litigation happening. People would search for that litigation keyword on Google, and then at that stage, JP would share something about how their law firm can help with that. So the idea of this, of somebody's looking for information around that specific topic, the KPI or the objective of that specific campaign is to share that resource. It's not necessarily to get a sale. I hope that makes sense. I'll give you some examples now. So this is a Google ad that I saw on News 24 that was served to me, and I had been to that website. And what they did was they recognized that I have been to the website before, so I've actually browsed on the site. But now they were showing me a remarketing ad, and they were promoting the actual tickets at that stage, because I knew I knew about AdWorld. A, B, I browsed the site. So the next stage is basically to buy the ticket. So that's the message that they used. So let me show you some more examples. So on the B2C side, so on the consumer side, same thing applies. Click and engage. People browse the product, newsletter, add to cart, and then sale. And these are the different channels that people use. Now, to give an example, so for display ads, we did a campaign for Strauss Art. They are big art auctioneer, and this was the banner that we displayed on websites. And the concept and the idea of this banner was just to draw attention and to get the click. This is critical to just explain. The job of the banner is just to get the click. You're not going to get the sale from this. It's just to get the click. That was the objective of this banner. Okay. So the KPI set for each campaign is very important. So for example, on the remarketing, I went onto the Adidas website, and what happened was I was browsing a couple of products, so they started showing me banners around Adidas to complete the transaction. Here I went into a pet store site, and I actually added stuff onto my shopping cart. So what did they do? They offered me a coupon to complete the transaction. Okay. Newsletter for B2C is exceptionally important. That's where the actual sale happens. So like having a newsletter, I've seen is a lot of the conversions happen with the newsletter. So to summarize, what is very, very important is each platform has got its own role to play, because not all the platforms will drive sales. So for example, Facebook is very good at getting at informing people of your product. So the measurement there should be clicks. Google Ads, search, for example, this is where they research the product. So that is the measurement there is the time on the website. Google Ads, search for your brand. So if somebody types in your specific brand, that is when people convert. And the KPI there is revenue. Okay. Just a little tip is when we set up campaigns, we always include the KPI in the name of the campaign to know what are we trying to measure and achieve with the campaign, that we don't forget later. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing again. So any questions around that? So I'll use a different analogy. It's like all these media campaigns, it's like a soccer team. The striker scores the goals. So that's where the sales happen. So, and the striker in this instance is your brand. So somebody types in Net Florist, or they type in Ardmore. That's where the conversion happens. So all these other campaigns, that the Facebook and the LinkedIn and the banners, is to drive the people to the striker, and then the striker scores the goal. But without these other campaigns, the striker isn't going to get the ball. The brand isn't going to get the ball to score goal. Does it make sense? Okay, Graham, you're nodding your head. Okay. So Jonathan is with Ardmore. Like, this is one of the things that we saw in the campaigns. We were running YouTube campaigns, we were running display campaigns, we were running Facebook campaigns, and what happens is at the top, Ardmore, the keyword like converts. That's what we see. Daniel, you look like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Do you wanna ask a question? Or I don't mind clarifying. Okay, cool. Okay, let me continue. Okay. Okay, measurement. What gets measured gets done. It's very important, the measurement aspect. What I've seen is when we work with a client, the moment we start measuring the clicks and the leads and the sales in the real time and talk about it weekly, stuff happens. Okay. So the analogy that I use is it's like flying but without any instruments. So when we engage with a client and they don't have proper analytics in place to measure the steps that people take to become a client, like a click or watching a video or downloading a white paper or becoming a lead, we don't actually know what's going on. So what I've seen is the moment we start measuring these activities, stuff happens. So a very easy tool to use is Google Analytics and to set up the conversion goals around it. And what I recommend and I've seen work is to set up these little steps that people take, these little conversions. So for example, somebody visits your site, somebody browses a product, somebody signs up for a webinar, is to track those in Google Analytics. I've also seen a lot of clients not track emails. So they send out great email campaigns and they don't track them, and to use the data in meetings. And there's a product out there that's free, Google Data Studio, that plugs into most of all Google's products and Facebook, where you can then build a report on your phone, so you can lie in bed and click on it, and you can see how many sales you got, how many meetings was booked, how many calls you got from the website. And what it does is it illuminates the value that the website and all the online activities brings, and it tracks it, and what gets measured gets done. Okay. Then lastly, so I've got 4 quick tips in terms of very tactical things around this topic. So the first thing that we've seen great success is Facebook's customer list import. So what it practically means is, if you have an e-commerce site, so for example, we did this with Jonathan, so you import the current customer list. So you know that these people are valuable. Import it into Facebook, and then what you can do is you can target them, but you can also build an audience around those specific people. So if your target audience is 45-year-old women living in the parks, you upload that list and it's going to find more 45-year-old women living in the parks and surrounding. It is exceptional. It's probably the most underutilized functionality in Facebook at the moment. I know Facebook is not the best platform in terms of protecting data, etc. So that's a decision that you have to make. I'm just saying that from a targeting point of view, it is exceptionally powerful. Okay. The second one is, if you are running any Google Ads campaigns and you are running a display campaign, is where you serve banners, you need to, there's a little tab on the left-hand side where you click placements, and then you click on where your ads are shown. And most of the advertisers that we talk to doesn't realize this, but your ads are being shown on mobile apps, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So there's a whole economy based on apps that's free on the App Store that kids download or parents download, and they are based on ads. So what happens is the ads are served inside the app. You accidentally click on them, or they're designed in such a way to be in the way, and then you are paying for these impressions on these apps and the clicks, and it sucks probably like 50% of your budget away. So you're wasting money, and then you also think that your display campaigns aren't working because people aren't buying. Please, just go and check that out, and go and to fix it is, you select all of these mobile apps, talk to your agency, talk to your marketing company, and just exclude them. it'll make a big impact. Third tip is LinkedIn. So for those that's in the B2B space, LinkedIn is amazing at targeting specific titles and specific companies. So it's a really amazing platform to reaching a very small audience, especially in B2B. So there's an insight tag that you can install. It's a pixel that you install under in LinkedIn in the advertising interface. Under account assets, there's an insight tag. So if you install that on your website, it'll start building an audience based on who visits your website. And after a few weeks or so, you should be able to target those people that's visited your website, but also understand the details of who visits your website. Okay, so we've seen that. That's a very useful thing. And then the last tip is, if you are running a Google Ads campaign, once you have enough data and you have conversions in Google Ads, switching to a return on advertising spend bidding strategy will save you a lot of time and money as well. So what happens is Google will then change the bids based on device, gender, location, browser, etc., and try and hit the target return on advertising spend that you want. So return on advertising spend is if you spend, so in this instance, for every 10 Rand that I spend on Google Ads, I want a return of 100 Rand. So that is what ROAS is. So this can save you a lot of money. And that's it. That's it. Any questions?
Ferdie, from my side, when you talk about ad spend, is there a sort of a thumbsuck or a guesstimate in terms of how much one should spend on digital media adverts? So, I often do just simple Facebook boosting, and then it asks me, do I want to spend 200 Rand, 500 Rand? Like, is there a...
That's a great question. So for me, that number is determined by your advertising economics. And what I mean by that is, you know what the cost per click is, or your total cost, and you should know how many leads you're getting and how many sales you're getting from that. So there's a ratio that tells you the cost for us. So you know how much you're spending, and you should know how many sales you're getting from this. So there should be a ratio. So it'll be like 200 Rand per hotel booking, for example. That's like your ratio. If that ratio makes economic sense for you, you're still making money if you spend 200 Rand per booking, then you should basically spend as much as you have available, because every time when you advertise and you get a booking and it's profitable, like that's, you're making money. So, but if you're paying more money than what a booking is worth you, then you should look and tweak the campaigns. So for me, it's not about how much, it's more about, does it make economical sense to actually advertise in the channels? And the answer is different between channels.
Thanks.
Yeah, Kelvin.
Ferdie, so maybe more of a logistical question, but one of the things that I've always struggled with is you've got these people who are designing and building your websites, and then you've got these people who are helping you deliver sales and leads from other campaigns, and very seldom are those two things together. And there always seems to be this effort that the business needs to do to merge these two worlds together. What is the kind of best approach you would say to making this thing as seamless as possible? Is it using one company for everything, or how do you kind of merge those two worlds?
So it's a good question. These days I really like self-empowerment, like people having the knowledge to do things themselves, because I think there's a lot of important data assets, and the marketing, and to get sales is a core. Like, you can't outsource marketing and sales. Like for me, that's like a core function to almost any business. So I'm a big fan of like in-housing things and doing it yourselves and that. But in terms of the dev people and the marketing people, like, I think what I've seen is for some clients it's best to have a generalist because they have very little management time, and they don't necessarily need to be best in class. But then for other companies, I've seen they're in such a competitive space, they need best in class in both of these realms. And then you need more management time to manage two parties. So it's a very difficult one. And for me, it depends on the context of the situation and the client. So like if it's very competitive, like you have to have specialists. If it's not competitive, just have a generalist. That's what I've seen. Sorry, Jonathan, you asked something.
Jonathan, and then I'll read the question from Shilpa on the group.
Hi, Ferdie. Not having a dig at you because I know we work together, but
you're welcome to have a dig.
If we've used a couple of digital ad agencies, and I always find, we just spoke about measurement, but I always find that there's always so much data that they can give you to kind of prove that they're doing a really good job. If you were to give us, like, if I could go back, I'd love to have had with me like 4 things or 3 things that I could just measure them on and say, listen, these are the KPIs that I'm focusing on. What would you say those should be as maybe
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I'll give a generic answer, and then I'll give a tactical one. So the generic one is if I had a business and I decided to move to the Kruger because my wife is Safari Befok, like, what are the 4 numbers that I need to see every week to know that the business is doing well? Like, what are those 4 numbers? So that's the benchmark for me. Not the output metrics. What is the input metrics? Like, what, the revenue is a factor of the number of sales. So then it would be input metrics. So from a digital marketing point of view, I would say some of the most important metrics that I've seen is quality leads, not just leads, quality leads. That's a very important one. Time on the website. Time on the website, not visitors, time, like the number of visitors, but the time that they spent on the site. If they're spending 15 seconds on the site, they're like out of there. And so that's the second one. And another metric I really like is, so everybody talks about impressions, but an impression is when an ad is loaded, what you're actually looking for is a viewable impression. That is, somebody's actually viewed it. It's actually been on their screen. So a normal impression is that the ad is loaded, but it's sitting here. You can't see it. Like, it's at the bottom, it's below the fold. But a viewable impression is in the field of view. That's a very good metric. So tactically, I would say quality leads, time on site, and viewable impressions. Those are the 3 metrics that I like at the moment. But it's different for every business.
A question from Shilpa, which you may have touched on, is similar to mine. I just received a quote for 50 Rand per month on social media advertising. I nearly fell off my chair. How do we know what is reasonable? Also, how do you optimize your company's search on Google SEO, and what's reasonable cost?
Shilpa, I think we should jump on a separate call, but I'll give you some metrics. So the cost to boost a post, the cost per click on Facebook is about 3 Rand. So if you boost a post or you advertise on Facebook, you should be paying about 3 Rand. That's like what I've seen. On Google Ads, it's on the display network, it's between 4 and 7 Rand. Those are metrics that you can use to gauge. Another very good metric to consider is the number of clicks that turn into leads should be about 3%. If it's more than that, good. If it's less than that, not good. Okay. Shilpa, does it make sense? So Shilpa, just quickly, there's a link in the chat group right at the top. Just click on that. You'll see my calendar. Book 30 minutes. It's a free session. We can unpack it for you if you want.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ferdie. I'll get on that.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, Ricky, sorry.
Ferdie, tools like HubSpot, I kind of always thought that was essential for doing this kind of consumer engagement tracking. Is it necessary, or can this be done, you know,
No,
with the Google tools?
Okay, good question. We were a HubSpot reseller, and like HubSpot was very good as like a platform for one person to manage a lot of stuff, but it wasn't best in class in anything. It was like mediocre and everything for me. That was my view. It's expensive as well, and you had to invest a lot in content. The best, if the objective is tracking and just understanding the touch points people take on your website, Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics is the best solution, and it's free. Technology is free. And then you can build that dashboard on top of it. So you have tag, so I'm getting very technical, but I'll just do it. So like Tag Manager, and then Google Analytics sits on top of it, and then on top of that sits a Data Studio. And that's where you have a report that you can say leads, brochure downloads, newsletter signups, visitors. Does it make sense, Ricky?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a follow-on question. Loop back to me later.
Okay, Tyler.
How's it, Ferdie? So you brought up a slide, and it was kind of breaking down what we need to track. You had goals versus what we needed to measure. From my notes, and I missed the last section. Facebook, the goal is to inform, and you were measuring clicks, right? And then you had two other, like like two different resources. There was Google and I think Google Ads. Would you mind just recapping?
Yeah, sure. So in that specific slide, there was two extra things I spoke about. So Google search is when you type into, what business are you in, Tyler?
I'm in educational consulting.
Okay, so if somebody types in math tutoring or something similar like that, that's Google Ads. So when you type it into Google and all those search results appear there. So if somebody types in math tutoring, that's a Google Ads search ad. So the objective of that should be to get clicks and to get people to spend time on your website. It may result in a sale, but maybe not. But what will probably happen is they're busy researching math tutors. So they're searching that into their bar. And so they'll go to your site, or go to another site, and they'll go to another site. And then what I'll do is they'll search your brand later. What is your company's name?
It's called Aspire Atlantic.
So they type in Aspire Atlantic at the later, like 2 or 3 days later, and they go, these are the people. So the sale will happen with your brand name, and then the math tutoring will be the person that browses. Okay. So that's the important thing is that specific campaign, the KPI should be time on site, and your brand should be sales. Does it make sense? The other thing that's critical, if somebody does all the effort of searching the product, and then a week later they go, oh, who's these guys again? And they Google your name. They need to find you. If they can't find you, they're going to go, oh, okay, and they're gone. So it's super important to have it doesn't matter if you're using an ad, but when people type you on Google, just appear. I don't care where. Is it maps, or is it an ad, or like you just have to be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ricky?
Another question, sorry, just on the group there from Amir. Ferdie, what's your view on using a chatbot to engage with visitors on your website? Engage and hopefully convert into a pitch.
It's a good question. I have not seen great results from it. As a consumer, if I'm on a mobile phone and my screen is the size of my hand and the freaking chat box appears this big, I get annoyed. So that's the first thing that I absolutely detest of a chat box. It's like, I don't want to talk to anybody now. I'm browsing your site, so leave me alone. But then on the mobile page, it's like a third or like half of my screen. I detest that, and I think normal consumers detest that as well. So on a mobile phone, I think it's a big no-no. On websites, I don't know. We've implemented it, and I haven't seen amazing results from it, frankly. Like it almost feels to me that like most of the people aren't ready to engage yet. They're not ready to talk to anybody. that's what I've seen in the data, but I don't know. For me, it's contextual. I think what I like more is to make it very easy for somebody to commit a little bit more, and to go just browse the site, download a white paper without asking sensitive information, jump in and on a webinar, then chat, I really want to talk to you. I don't know, I like intuitively I don't like it, and from the data I've seen it, I don't know, try it, I don't know. But, Ricky?
Ferdie, so my experience with digital marketing guys has been that they data analytics kind of people. They're kind of like programmer types, and my frustration has been that they're like, yeah, give me your content, and then we'll just A/B test it. And I'm fine. Maybe you can help manage my expectations. Is that the job of these agencies, just to run this stuff and provide the analytics, or should they be actually advising on the content and the creative and the what it looks like? I noticed in your presentation you had, some, informational ads and then shop ads and call to action. I've never actually seen that out of my agency before.
So most clients just want sales, lead. So a lot of times agency have now just started servicing that. So to go, you want leads, we're always selling, and I don't agree with that approach. But in terms of, I think my view on the messaging is you understand your clients and your product the best. That for me, that is like, there's nobody else that understands that better than that. And for me, if an agency's role is to facilitate and to provide feedback from the campaigns, to go, this is what we've seen in the data. How does this apply in your world? Like is this making sense or not? And then you give feedback to the agency, and then the agency changes the messaging in the media and stuff. But I don't think at any point marketing can be outsourced or sales, because the agency just does not understand and have the data that you have in terms of your own product and your customers. So I do think, I think that we're in an age where the marketing and the data has to be a core competency, and the agency can help execute, but it can't run in isolation. That's what I think. So, any more questions? Okay, so just before I take another question, so if you are interested to continue this conversation, there's a link in the chat which I'm going to share again. It's just click on there, and we can have a 30-minute session. A payment for the session is lunch or coffee at some stage, and we'll just chat through your requirements. A free session. It's best to sort of so each person's got a unique business, and what we'll do in that session is we'll take that, the funnel model, and I'll apply it to your business, and I'll share the deck with you afterwards, and then you can work with your marketing team or your agency to make changes. Like, I don't run an agency. I run and I help internal teams. We help internal teams or agencies to execute on this stuff. So we're not an agency. I'm not like threatening any agencies or current relationships.
While we've still got a couple more minutes, so if anyone has got any questions, please ask now. But while I'm waiting, just to also ask everyone to please, we've had a great turnout today, and we'd really appreciate if you could fill in the Google form. Just as Ferdie said, measuring is critical, and we get measured for the quality of our learning events. We'd really appreciate your feedback. So please click on that link. It takes you to a Google sheet, and then we will we'll get your feedback on that. Ferdie, just while we're waiting for another question, SMSing, is that dated? Is that something that also maybe more difficult to measure? What are your views around that?
My view, my views are I'm not an SMS expert at all. What I just do one of the challenges that I've seen with SMS is there's no way to opt out. And I think in this age where everybody's clamoring for attention, if I receive an unsolicited SMS, my reaction is negative. Like, why do I have to opt out of your thing? Why do I have to contact you to? This is not valuable to me. So my view on SMS is, you know, I think the reach is obviously unbelievable, but there's a certain responsibility, and like, you know, when that message goes out, you may get some leads, but what's the negative sentiment that you're going to get by sending out the SMS? I'll give you a practical example of, like, so I live in Greenside in Johannesburg, and these people, the three fellas that stick these fucking A3 flyers on my postbox and on my doorbells. Like, who likes that? Is there anybody here that fucking likes that? No. It's SMS is the same fucking thing. Like, I phone those people. I phone them. I'm like, dude, like, I will not fucking cut down my trees with you because you are creating litter in the suburb. So stop doing it, please. And I had somebody go, oh, but what should I do? I'm like, put it in the post box. Fuck. Sorry for the swearing. That's my view on, like, unsolicited stuff. Like, no, don't do it. Like, no, just don't. Like, there's much better and much more intelligent ways to do marketing, much more targeted ways to do it. And then the customer is supposed to love you. They're like, I love this company. Now you're sending them unsolicited SMSs on them. I get SMSs from my optometrist in Stellenbosch when I was a student, wishing me happy birthday. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Fuck off. Sorry. I hope that was entertaining at least. Sorry, this was in forum, huh? This was in for this last 10 minutes. The swearing was in forum. Apologies for that.
It's also in camera.
Oh yes, it was recorded. Okay, anyway. Any other questions? No, cool. I think we can wrap up, Josh.
Ferdie, thank you so much for your time and your offer to meet with the guys for a consultation. It's really good to see you in EO, and we can't wait to welcome you back in EO. Guys, there's also been just a couple of questions around the deck and sharing the recording today. Laura, if you're on, can you just explain how people will be able to get it? I know that there will be a link to an in-house YouTube.
Yeah, I'll send the YouTube link. I'll download it and send the YouTube link to the people who've attended.
To the people who've attended. Okay, great. If there's any
queries. If you can share the deck, I'll email it all together.
I'll share the deck.
While I've got everyone online, for those people from Johannesburg, just a reminder that the next event is next Wednesday, I think it is, the 9th of September, the all-member event, featuring Herman Mashaba as our guest speaker. Please make sure that you sign up for that. I know that Andy is also looking for everyone's home addresses, the Johannesburg crowd, so please do. And then last thing, an SMS which most of you received by now, and just for me, for those who are not from the Johannesburg chat, we've created a board buddy system. You'll have received an SMS. Each member will be assigned to a board member. We should be hearing from them. And a good week, rest of the week, everybody. Ferdie, if you don't mind coming on before you log off, we'll just let everyone just chat to you.